Good morning and aloha. Today is October 3rd, 2021. Welcome to Daifukuji Soto Mission's Darumaki live stream service. Darumaki is held in remembrance of Bodhidharma or Bodai Daruma Daishi, whom the Japanese affectionately call Daruma-sama. Daruma-sama is the forefather of the Zen sect. He introduced Zen to China from India and is the 28th patriarch in our lineage. Daruma-sama is the figure seated in the alcove behind me. Daruma Daishi was born as the third royal prince to the king and queen of South India's Kashi province. He was named Bodhidharma at birth, a name which later changed to Bodhidharma. For 40 years, he studied the Buddha way, following a monk named Hanyatara. After Hanyatara passed away, Daruma Daishi made the long journey to China around the year 520 CE, at a time when the scholastic philosophy of Buddhism was at its height of development in China. Daruma Daishi realized that many were not grasping the heart and essence of Buddhism, which could not be conveyed in text. At the Shaolin Temple, located on Mount Su, he faced the wall and sat in Zazen day and night for 9 years. He also gave teachings. He became known to the world as the Mempeki Kunen no Daruma, on the wall, or the wall-facing Daruma of 9 years. He gained the deep respect of the Chinese emperor for his noble character and sermons on Zen, and came to be revered as the first patriarch of Zen in China. Daruma Daishi has become a popular symbol of perseverance and fortitude. He reminds us to directly face our obstacles and obstructions of the mind with courage and inner strength. Although he is often portrayed with a fierce and wild expression, there is also humor in Daruma-sama which endears him to us. In Soto Zen, October 5th is recognized as the anniversary of his death. We call this day Darumaki, or the anniversary of Daruma's eternal rest. Today, we have gathered to pay reverence to this great Zen teacher. Dharma words will now be offered by Reverend Jiko.
On this third day of October, in the year 2021, the Daifukuji Sangha pays homage to Bodhidharma, Bodai Daruma Daishi, the 28th ancestor in our Soto Zen lineage. We commemorate the anniversary of his death, the anniversary of Daruma's eternal rest, honoring this great teacher who exhorted his disciples to see their own true nature and behold the mind. We bow humbly with sincere reverence and dedicate this Dadumaki service in his memory. May the Dharma continue to flourish, bringing peace and calm throughout the land. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. We take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Dharma, we take refuge in the Sangha.
Reverend Jiko will now lead the singing of Vandana Tisarana. Next is the Zen meditation, followed by Sampai or 3 bows. We will now chant the Hanya Shingyo, or Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom Sutra. service and reciting the Makahanya Haramita Shinyo. We dedicate its merits to Bodhidharma Daishi, who embodied the spirit of Zen, and also to the great teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Hawaii Kanze Ondai Bosatsu, Kosojoyo Daishi Dogen Zenji, Taisojo Sai Daishi Keizan Zenji, Maha Prajapati, Tento Rekidai Soshi Dharma ancestors, founder Kodama Kaiseki, and successive ministers of Daifukuji and the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures. May we appreciate their benevolence and show our gratitude to our many guides as we walk the path of the Dharma. We also pray for the peace of our world, the peace of our community, the peace of this temple, and the sound practice of our members. May this good karma be extended to all relations, and may we realize the Buddha way together. A Dharma message will now be given by Reverend Jiko.
Good morning, everyone, and aloha. Well, October is here, and although we don't see the leaves changing colors from green to red and orange here on our trees here in Hawaii, here in Kona, we do see the coffee cherries turning red and orange on our coffee trees throughout the Kona countryside. So in normal times, under normal non-COVID circumstances, our community here on Hawaii Island would be gearing up for the world-famous Ironman World Championship. But due to COVID, there was no Ironman held in Kona last year, and none will be held this year. Luckily, we Zen Buddhists have our very own Ironman to honor this month, and that is Bodhidharma. He has come to be regarded as a Zen Ironman, the archetype of fortitude and perseverance that's been embedded in the hearts and minds of millions of Zen Buddhists throughout the centuries. When we think of the word perseverance, we think of Bodhidharma, Dharma-san. And just to show you how popular Dharma is, we have Dharma dolls everywhere here. And here's a little one that I'm holding up. And these dolls are very popular in Japan. You can purchase them without their pupils filled in. So what people in Japan do, in particular students or those who set a goal for themselves, is that when they set a goal for themselves, they will fill in the pupil of one of the eyes. And after great perseverance and working hard to achieve their goal, when they achieve their goal, then they get to fill in the other pupil. So that's what these dolls are for. So Bodhidharma Daishi, also known as Bodhidharma, Daruma-sama, Daruma-san, is a semi-legendary Zen figure whose 9 years of facing a wall, sitting in Zazen, in a cave is celebrated still, according to our founder Dogen Zenji, in whose 13th century work Fukanza Zengi, these words are written, that his 9 years of facing a wall are celebrated still. I think this must be true because at Zen temples and centers around the globe, we are still sitting in Zazen, facing the wall, inspired by our great Ironman, Daruma-san. So without a doubt, Bodhidharma's influence is still felt today. He set a powerful example for all of us. It is said that his disciples were few, and it wasn't until 200 years after his death that the Zen tradition, which traces its lineage back to him, began to flourish in China. So there are many stories about Bodhidharma, and he has, over the centuries, become the archetype of integrity, perseverance, and deep wisdom. I personally am inspired by this fierce-looking Zen monk with bulging eyes. So I'd like to share a story with you from this book, 2 Moons, Short Zen Stories, written by Shumio Sato and illustrated by Kyuji Inoue. It's about Daruma-san. So while I tell the story, I'm going to ask the videographers to please focus your cameras on the Dharma figures that are there on our incense table. Bodhidharma, known as Dharma-san in Japanese, came from India to China after traveling for 3 years. The teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha were handed down from master to disciple, just as water is transferred from one vessel to another without any leakage. The Dharma lamp was passed from Shakyamuni to Mahakasyapa to Ananda, and eventually down to Bodhidharma, who was the 28th generation of this lineage. The intrepid spirit needed to set out for an unknown country at a time when transportation had not been developed, and moreover, to do it at an advanced age is something which an ordinary man who guards his body and life would not even think of. But this is the noble practice of Buddhas, who from their great compassionate hearts wish to faithfully transmit the truth and save deluded sentient beings. Emperor Wu of Liang found out that Bodhidharma had arrived in Guangzhou on September 21st, 520, and dispatched an emissary to invite him to what is now Nanking. The emperor inquired of Bodhidharma, "I have, up until now, built temples, had sutras copied, and supported monks and nuns. What merit is there in these things?" Bodhidharma curtly replied, "No merit." This greatly disappointed Emperor Wu, who was expecting a favorable answer. The shallow thinking of ordinary people would have dictated flattering the emperor, but for Bodhidharma, who had vowed to save deluded sentient beings, there was not the slightest intention of flattering or compromising with anyone. When Bodhidharma met Emperor Wu, who was called the son of heaven of the Buddha mind, he realized that the emperor was nothing more than a Buddhist fanatic who was seeking temporal gain. So Bodhidharma crossed the Yangtze River, entered the country of Wei, settled down at Shaolin Temple, sat down facing a wall, and practiced Zazen for 9 years. The people of the area referred to him as the wall-gazing Brahmin. Here's another account of this incident. The anthology of the Patriarchal Hall says that in 527, Bodhidharma visited Emperor Wu of Liang, a fervent patron of Buddhism. Emperor Wu, "How much karmic merit have I earned for ordaining Buddhist monks, building monasteries, having sutras copied, and commissioning Buddha images?" Bodhidharma, "None. Good deeds done with worldly intent bring good karma, but no merit." Emperor Wu, "So what is the highest meaning of noble truth?" Bodhidharma, "There is no noble truth. There is only emptiness." Emperor Wu, "Then who is standing before me?" Bodhidharma, "I know not, Your Majesty." In this story, we see the noble character of Bodhidharma. He was bold, he was enigmatic, he was steadfast. We see his Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow to help all beings awaken to truth, to reality, to Buddha. Were it not for his vow, he would not have left the comfort zone of his home country, India, and made the long, long and dangerous journey to China, to a foreign land, a land in which a language different from his own was spoken. It is said that it took him 3 years to reach China, around the year AD 527. Imagine traveling 3 years to reach your destination. Why did he even go to China? According to one account, Bodhidharma felt the calling to transmit the true essence of the Buddha way. that which is conveyed not through words alone, but rather through a direct experience of reality. Buddhism had been established in China, but was being studied philosophically. People were studying Buddhist scriptures and commentaries and engaging in dialogue, sharing their concepts about Buddhism. And royalty such as Emperor Wu were building thousands of temples, hoping to gain a reward called merit to their good works. Hearing that a monk from India had arrived in China, Emperor Wu wanted to impress him and hear him say that he would receive much merit from his good works. But what did Bodhidharma say to the emperor? When asked by him what merit he had derived from supporting monasteries and monks, Bodhidharma simply replied, "No merit, no merit." Can you imagine the look of shock and disbelief on the emperor's face? What do you mean, no merit? Why would I have spent a fortune on erecting temples if I were to gain no merit? Bodhidharma had replied, "Nothing holy, only emptiness." The emperor was again shocked and asked, Who is answering the emperor like this? Bodhidharma, "I don't know." The emperor could not understand the words of Bodhidharma, and Bodhidharma left. He walked away, not only from the dumbfounded emperor, but from all that the emperor could have possibly given him: recognition, fame, a magnificent temple, perhaps. Can you imagine Bodhidharma walking away from the emperor and not attempting to curry favor with someone who had status, money, and power? He did just that. He walked away. Here we see the moral integrity of one of our greatest Buddhist ancestors, who walked away from the emperor of China and found a cave in which to meditate for 9 years. I also like the stories about Bodhidharma cutting off his eyelids so as not to fall asleep during Zazen. It is said that his big, bulging eyeballs were the result of his having done this. So he wanted to stay awake, so it says he tore off his eyelids and he flung them to the floor of the cave, and where his eyelids fell to the ground, the first tea plants sprung up. Don't you love stories like this? But we do know that tea is highly valued by meditators as an aid for staying awake. Speaking of staying awake, in practicing Zazen in our tradition, we do not sit with our eyes completely closed. In Dogen Zenji's universally recommended instructions for Zazen, called Fukan Zazengi, it says, always keep your eyes open. Whenever I hear this line, I think of Bodhidharma. This is hard to do, especially when one is sleepy during Zazen. I guess what we can do is drink Bodhidharma's gift to us, his eyelid tea. There are practical reasons, though, for sitting with one's eyes open. And I have to tell you a little incident that just happened last week during our Wednesday morning Zazen. So a few days ago, during our 6 a.m. Zazen, we were offering it through Zoom since the temple is closed currently. I was sitting with my eyes open when I noticed something slithering across the carpet toward me. In the dim morning light, without my glasses, I was able to discern, when it was about a foot away from me, this big centipede that was heading straight for me. So this actually happened once before, when, unbeknownst to the folks sitting in Zazen on either side of the room, a large centipede slithered across the carpet and just straight down the middle of the room toward me. I looked around. I found the bell next to me. I picked the bowl bell up. whoop, I turned it right over the centipede, trapping it inside the bell till the end of Zazen and morning service. And everybody, no one knew. Everybody was sitting there, but they didn't know that I caught the big centipede. So anyway, last week after Zazen and morning service were finished, I was able to get this wriggling centipede into a glass vase, and I tossed it out the window into the orchid garden. So, who knows? There may have been a lot of centipedes inside the cave in which Bodhidharma was said to have sat in Zazen for 9 years. Do not close your eyes. Do not fall asleep. One must stay awake. Most importantly, though, one must awaken from distraction, dullness, and delusion. This is the main point. To awaken from our delusion. So to conclude my talk today, I'd like to just share with you a few paragraphs from this book, The Zen Teachings of Bodhidharma, translated by Red Pine. And this is a reading from his sermon called the Wake Up Sermon. Nirvana means no birth and no death. It's beyond birth and death and beyond nirvana. When the mind stops moving, it enters nirvana. Nirvana is an empty mind where delusions don't exist. Buddhas reach nirvana. Where afflictions don't exist, bodhisattvas enter the place of enlightenment. An uninhabited place is one without greed, anger, or delusion. Greed is the realm of desire, anger the realm of form, and delusion the formless realm. When a thought begins, you enter the 3 realms. When a thought ends, you leave the 3 realms. The beginning or end of the 3 realms, the existence or non-existence of anything depends on the mind. This applies to everything, even to such inanimate objects as rocks and sticks. Whoever knows that the mind is a fiction and devoid of anything real, knows that his own mind neither exists nor doesn't exist. Mortals keep creating the mind, claiming it exists, and arhats keep negating the mind, claiming it doesn't exist. But bodhisattvas and Buddhas neither create nor negate the mind. This is what's meant by the mind that neither exists nor doesn't exist. The mind that neither exists nor doesn't exist is called the middle way. So thank you to Bodhidharma, our great ancestor Bodhidharma Daishi, and thank you to all of you who have joined us today. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. We take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Dharma, we take refuge in the Sangha. Namu Shakyamuni.
We will now sing the Gatha, How Glorious is Thy Dhamma, which will be led by Reverend Jiko and myself, Deacon Jikai.
Buddha, blessed Lord.
singing of the Shomyo. I have a few announcements. Thank you so much to today's organists, Terry Jigen Hollowell, and videographers Stephen Tanaka and Barbara Shoshin Baz. Today's service will also be posted as a separate video on our YouTube channel, Daifukuji Soto Zen. A live stream Thanksgiving service will be on Sunday, November 21st at 10 a.m. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we hope to be able to see you again in person soon. Mahalo.